Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going on an absolutely breathtaking evolutionary journey of the soul. We're going to look way beyond the physical shell to understand the esoteric, energetic anatomy of the human body. We'll be diving into how our physical existence is deeply, fundamentally intertwined with our spiritual essence, and we'll be drawing on some truly fascinating source material to understand incarnation not as a one-off event, but as a continuous, endless process of light emerging.
So where does your deepest pain actually live? It's a pretty profound question to kick things off with, right? We tend to think of illness and trauma as strictly physical, or maybe purely psychological. But the sources we're exploring today introduce a really radical concept. Our trauma and disease aren't just physical. Not at all. They are rooted deep, deep within our energetic structures. The physical pain you feel, it's often just the final, outward manifestation of a disruption in your energetic flow.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. First, the human energy system. Second, frozen blocks of time. Third, healing with color and sound. Fourth, the process of spiritual surgery. And fifth, returning to the divine.
Section 1. The human energy system. To really wrap our heads around human health, we kind of have to completely rethink what incarnation actually is. The sources describe it as an ongoing, continuous process of divine light emerging from a central source within us and just flowing outward, right into the material world.
And that central source? It's known as the core star, located about 1.5 inches above your navel. This isn't a physical organ. It's the internal source of your localized divinity. It is pure manifest life. Think of it as your unique divine inner spark. It exists totally outside of time and space, representing the eternal essence of exactly who you are. This is the origin of your creative force, that deep inner fountain from which your true light emerges. So how does this energy get out? Well, it flows outward from that core star through 4 distinct dimensions to create our physical reality. It starts right at the core star, your divine essence. From there, the energy upwells into the hara, which is the dimension of your intention and life purpose. Next, it moves out into the auric field, this highly complex energy structure that holds your personality and the energetic template for your body. And finally, it crystallizes into the physical body, the manifest form. Health is, quite simply, the unimpeded, joyful flow of this creative wave from the core star all the way out to the physical world, which is what allows the soul to gradually gain mastery over its subtle bodies.
Section 2. Frozen blocks of time. So, what happens when the trials of life throw a wrench in that divine energy flow? Why do we get sick or feel stuck? This brings us to a really crucial concept in our energetic anatomy, looking at how psychological and emotional defenses literally distort our energy fields.
To bring this abstract theory down to earth a bit, let's meet Joe. Joe's a fictional but honestly entirely relatable character from our source material. Joe had painful experiences in childhood, just like we all do. And because he was way too young to process that pain, he did what we instinctively do to survive. He stopped the flow of energy to avoid feeling it. But by walling off his wounds, he also accidentally walled off his connection to his creative core. Here is the exact chronological breakdown of how Joe's trauma becomes physical reality. First, a painful event occurs. Second, to avoid the pain, Joe just shuts down his energetic flow and reaction. Third, and this is wild, a part of his psyche literally freezes in that exact moment. If Joe was 5, a part of him remains energetically frozen at age 5 in the 4th layer of his auric field. Time literally stops inside that block. Finally, over the years, similar painful events attract each other, coagulating into what's called a frozen psychic time conglomerate. Joe's life energy now has to constantly detour around these massive blocks of stagnant, unevolved energy, essentially frozen energy consciousness.
Section 3. Healing with color and sound. Okay, so how do we actually help Joe? How do we thaw out these frozen blocks of time and get that natural creative wave from the core star moving again? Well, healers use some truly profound dynamic methods to intervene directly in the subtle energy systems, restoring balance so the physical body can go ahead and heal itself.
One foundational technique for this is called chelation. And just to be clear, we don't mean chemical chelation here. We're talking about an energetic clearing. A healer acts as a conduit, channeling universal healing energy right into a depleted system. They do this in the most natural way possible, starting down at the feet and working upwards. Because we naturally draw energy up from the earth, this technique inflates and balances the patient's auric field, kind of like a balloon. Alongside the use of specific crystals, this process literally claws out the dense, dark energy debris that forms those frozen blocks.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how specific frequencies interact directly with our anatomy. Think about it. Healers use precise vocal tones and colors to literally reshape damaged chakras. For example, if a patient's third chakra is deformed, toning an F note can literally make that chakra stand up and spin correctly. No way, right? And once it takes the correct shape on the first level of the field, it immediately flashes its correct color, yellow, on the second level. This kind of vibrational medicine is incredibly fast, allowing the patient to rapidly raise their vibrational frequencies and process all those energies they had blocked off.
Section 4. The process of spiritual surgery. As we go even deeper into the auric field, the interventions become even more astonishing. We transition now from clearing and charging the fluid levels of the aura to directly repairing the highly structured geometric templates that actually act as the blueprints for the physical body.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when a patient is in a deeply relaxed state. A healer might access the fifth level of the aura, sinking their etheric hands deep into the patient's field. But actually, it's spiritual guides who reach through the healer's hands to perform literal dissections and structural operations on the energetic blueprint of the body. They're sewing up tears, removing deep energetic blockages, and literally recreating the negative template space so a physical organ can finally heal.
This surgery occurs mostly on two primary structural levels. The fifth level, or etheric template, looks a lot like an architect's blueprint. Picture clear, transparent lines on a rich cobalt blue background. It's the empty space that creates the form for physical organs. But if the damage is really severe, healers have to go all the way to the seventh level, the catheric template. This is a highly resilient grid made of tiny, durable gold-and-silver threads. Here, the guides rapidly reweave golden light grids to literally restructure damaged chakras and the energetic nervous system, restoring absolute harmony to the whole framework.
Section 5. Returning to the divine. Repairing these structures brings us to the ultimate climax of our evolutionary journey. Because honestly, physical healing is just a byproduct. The true purpose of this entire multidimensional system is the expansion of our awareness, completing our spiritual lessons in each lifetime so the soul can finally return to a conscious union with the divine source.
When we access levels beyond the 7th, like the 8th level, we move totally beyond our current incarnation. At this cosmic level, healers can establish shields that help clear deep-seated, long-standing karmic trauma. When these vast energetic wounds are finally removed, the individual attains just an incredible state of serenity. The process of healing evolves from merely fixing an illness into an act of pure spiritual creativity, where the person intentionally creates health, joy, and a profound communion with the universe.
The sources capture this profound cycle just beautifully, stating, "As life within the formless void surrenders to its death, form is reborn." Healing is fundamentally a process of remembering our true divine nature. It requires allowing the stagnant, blocked parts of our ego and our past to completely dissolve into the magic of the void, so that our purest form can be reborn. It is quite literally the veil between the ego and the higher self dissolving.
So, as we wrap up this explainer on the multidimensional journey of human energy, I want to leave you with this final thought. Think of your own core star for a second, that source of infinite, localized divinity right above your navel. What frozen blocks of time are you holding on to? And, much more importantly, what are you ready to finally release so your own radiant light can emerge and heal your world? Thank you so much for exploring this with me.